Hi, today we're going to talk about business identity. Why do we need a business identity? Just like why do you need a name? You need an ID so that you can differentiate yourself from the rest of your competitors, right? And it also allows you to build some image, a product image, as well as to position your product in some sector of the market, right? So it allows you to differentiate basically. Then of course you also want to let people recognize your product by looking at the symbol, by looking at the logo. Straight away they can recognize is from your company, right? So and you also advocate your customer to be loyal to your product, and you can actually create some branding out of your ID, business IDs. As such, that's why it's very crucial that we have a lab session to basically allow you to create your own logo, your own mission statement, your own ID. Well, here you can see some iconic kind of a symbol, and straight away you can tell, okay, which is McDonald's, which is Dropbox, which is Instagram, which Apple, and Facebook. So that's where it creates the kind of a branding attractiveness about your product, as well as, like I say, most important is actually some form of followers or loyalty, right? That people can associate your icon with your companies. There are also others logo design that comes with wordings, right? Like StarHub. Right? So they have a combination of icons as well as some wording to further enforce and enhance their image. Right? So straight away you can even tell the names like Bread Talk, KFC. They even sometimes put in some slogan like "so good." Uh, So business identity basically, like I say, is very important to portray your image, and it's a something that you want your customer to associate with, right? And also to remember you for. And you can use this logo for some color identity as well, right? So coloring is very important. Image is also very important. So the question is, what sort of identity that you like to create? You want to create a high-end product, right? Or your product branding is for the mass market, right? Means for most of the people, not just for the rich. Okay, so you have to think about it. What kind of business identity you would like to create, right? So that brings us to the branding part. So a brand would include a name, a symbol, and other informations, right? Usually a brand also represent somewhat a promise, right? When people see McDonald's, they know it's a trustworthy kind of a fast food chain. It's something that they buy and it's edible, and they know the taste, right? And they know that it will not upset their stomach for one, right? Rather than if they try something new, totally new, and they have never tasted it before. So a brand can really bring about a promise, okay, a promise of the quality of services or the product that you can provide to the customers, right? So it's a form of also a value propositions to the customers. So branding is naturally very utmost importance, right? And sometimes all these brand can become an asset to the company, and it can be tagged to some monetary kind of valuations, right? So like for example, if someone were to, if Google were to sell its brand, it's going to cost a lot of money. Microsoft, right? The brand itself is actually a valuable asset, and it can actually translate to money. There will be people who want to take over their branding, their renowned brand, because it's so well received, and at least most people believe in their products. Okay, and it takes years to build up this kind of branding and recognitions, right? So creating a new brand can be tough, can be difficult. It takes time, right? So you got to think carefully about what are the colors you would like to use, what kind of wording and what kind of pictures or image that you want to create, right? And there are also online tools that's actually available, free, accessible to you to actually help you to create. In the lab exercise, we will introduce to use to some of these online tools that's actually available to help you to create a logo, a business identity, right? So nowadays, create some of these things is actually pretty straightforward and easy, right? So and once you create this kind of logo or this kind of iconic, right, it usually comes with some legal protections, right? It's something that you create. So usually you want to create a logo that is not so similar to some existing business, right? You want to produce a logo that is really unique, okay, and different from the others, right? If you create a logo that is too close, okay, to a very famous brand or logo, then you might get yourself into some legal uh, issues, right? Just like example, Nike. Nike is the kind of tick, right? So if you're going to create another logo that is also a tick, but is a with a tick that is going in the different directions, right? You might find yourself into getting into some lawsuit, right? So be careful. Try to create a unique, okay, totally different kind of a logo design so that people would not get confused. And there are also companies that basically do co-branding, right? So they basically put two brand, two logo together, right? They try to mix. This is when there is some integration with the company, or when one company acquire another company. So they try to integrate, just like ExxonMobil, right? So they actually come up with another new logo design. Right, so you can see this is Singtel, right? Singtel typically they also change some of their logo. This was actually the old design, right? If you see right in the center, this is the old Singtel design, and the latest, okay, design that they come up is this Singtel, right? So basically this kind of a Singtel, once they utilize, okay, they usually utilize the style, the font, the color, and once they have finalized the kind of design, they will basically be populating all this design layout across all their retail outlets, across all their banners, across all their website, so that it can be consistent with their branding, with their logo design. Okay, so sometimes it takes a long while to come up with a good and nice logo design, right? So very important to create an identity so that a lot of people can associate the logo immediately with the companies. So here we talk about the market positioning. So when you have a product, you also want to decide where are you going to position your products. Is it at a high-end market, which is perceived with very high price, very expensive, and of high qualities, right? So how is it that you want to position? So these are usually the BMW, right? There's the BMW, Ford, Ferrari. These are all among the high price. Okay, the quadrant here will be the most exclusive, expensive, okay, brand, okay, with high quality. Whereas those for the mass market, for the cheapo kind of products, the low end product where you want to cater, then you might be positioning your product under the low price, low quality, okay, kind of quadrant, right? So you can decide, okay, because there are always market, okay, for different sectors of your target audience. So it depends on what is your market position, right, in the company. What is your company strategy? Are you going to serve the filthy rich people, or are you going to serve even for the all the mass market, right? So you're going for volume, volume sales, okay, and with that volume sales, you can still manage to gain a decent revenue, decent profits. So what sort of companies do you want to create, or do you want to achieve, right? So other than having a business identity with a logo, right, you might also want to come up with some unique missions, unique visions, so that across your company people, the staff, right, they can share the same culture, they can share the same missions, to strive forward, right? So it must usually be supported by some core values, right? We will have some example on how you can write, even create your own mission statements as well as your own visions, right? So like for example, if you go to Google, right? Google, you look at their company culture, right? If you go to their company office, it's all very nicely designed, very conducive. Their office is an open concept, right? Where you don't have a lot of partition, and it's a very conducive, friendly environment and a joy to work in. And you'll find that the staff there, okay, they are not like have to dress up formally or like a business wear. They are all usually very casual, comes in jeans, t-shirt or polo t-shirts. So that's the kind of a culture, okay, that the company would want to bring out as compared to other organization, like maybe those trading companies or stock and share trading companies, or property developers companies. If you look at some of these property agents, they always come with what, smart dressing, with suit, tie, okay, very professionally wear. So it depends on your company culture, who you want to portray, right? So if you're dealing with, obviously, like in the property industries, the property agents are usually dealing with high-end, high value purchase products like house, property, bungalow. So they are dealing with those people with a lot of wealth. Okay, so they want to portray the kind of trustworthiness and the professionalism in the way they conduct, and it's actually justifiable because what they are dealing with is really big purchase, big value purchase, right? So so that's where you have to think about the kind of a culture, so that the employees, okay, they can come together, they can actually work in sync, and they can feel comfortable, right? And sometimes it also depends on the stakeholders that they are dealing with. So core value here we also try to define as is the fundamental and the ethical, moral, philosophy or beliefs, okay, that form the foundations of the companies, right? That basically provide a guidance on the way that they can conduct their businesses, or the way that they can conduct their working lifestyles, right? So it's good to define such core value, right? So that there will not be any conflicting interests or conflicting working uh, habits, right? So after all, if you work in a company, we are all talking about teamwork, right? So you need to create that team dynamic, and in order to create that team dynamic, right, you need to have a common goal, right? Just like when you play for sports, you play in the sports, all the like for example soccer, if you play for soccer for your school, right, all your friends, your team will be wearing the same jersey, right? They will be wearing the same color, same t-shirt, same shoes, right? So that they can feel that they are in a team, right? And of course they have a team spirit that they would like to build up as well, right? So bonding is very important so that the whole company can move in the same directions, especially when you have a clear missions or clear visions that you have defined properly. So uh, the uh, whole companies can basically be going towards the same directions, right? And they are in line and focused with the core value in the company. So company missions, okay, so you will have a session to basically also take a look at how whether you want to construct a mission statements, right? Sometimes you go to a company, they'll put right in front, okay, on their wall, a picture, a mission statement that state that basically capture the passions, okay, the business or the business commitment, right, that they want to have in order to satisfy their customers. Just like most schools, right? If you go to secondary school, they always got some mission statements for every schools, right? Or they have a school song that comes with it. So the function of the mission statement is basically to clarify again what the business is trying to do, okay, in the present, as well as provide a directions. If not direction, there must be some motivations, okay, for future action, so that there's a clear and compelling messages for, for all the employees in the company. Okay, and you don't typically have a very long paragraph for the statements, right? So you try to limit it uh, not beyond 40 words, right? So as to reduce the clarity, okay, induce the clarity, right? And to ensure that people can actually remember the mission statements, right? If your mission statement is too long, nobody can remember it properly, right? So keep it short and sweet. So here are some examples of the mission statements by the various company, right? DuPont, Google, right, etc. So I leave it to you to basically browse through, right? So image differentiation is very important. How do you stand out from your competitions, right? How do you differentiate or create the unique value propositions or create the unique experience, especially on online? Okay, so online experience is very important. You must create that kind of a refreshing experience. Every time I go to your website, it's not like a static page, right? So you must go there or you must feel good. You must always find there's refreshing promotions coming out or products that's coming out and new ways of using your products, right? So it must be appealing to the customer to keep coming back to your website and not something that they went in 1 month ago and the next month they come in again, it's still the same kind of content, same kind of look, right? It will be very boring. And then you have to give the customer a reason to come and keep coming back to your online website, right? So you got to create that reasons and basically image kind of differentiation, okay, the kind of experience in branding is very important that you need to cultivate, right? Even among your own employees. So product differentiation, okay, uh, very important. So unique differentiation strategy, not easy to do, but you still have to do it, right? So the focus is basically on the environment as well as the way that you present your products, right? So uh, make it very unique and attractive, right? Because you need your product to stand out among the hundred and thousands of similar products, right? You need to compete with them. So you got to find your own niche and your own strength and your own attractiveness, right? In order to keep your customers, right? So sometimes internet sales are not just based on pricing. You also rely heavily on packaging, right? So if your product is more or less the same, then you have to look for something else, right? Like for example, if you're selling Apple, all the apples is like commodities. It looks the same. If you're selling orange, right? How else can it be different from your competitor? More or less, they look the same. So you might want to differentiate through packaging, through boxing, through other means, right? So, but of course, when you do packaging, try to make it eco-friendly, right? Green environment, so as to reduce the wastage. And of course, bear in mind, when you put more packaging, right, more exclusive kind of packaging to your product, that actually add on to your cost of goods, right? And that will bring up, okay, the price naturally, right? If you want to earn a decent living. Right. So other than the product itself, you can also try to differentiate your product on top of selling the product through services. The customer services that you can provide. Right. If somebody is selling Apple, right, and you're also selling Apple, right, and what you can differentiate is, like I say, oh, he operate only what 10 hours a day. I'm going to go beyond that. I'm going to have my shop open 24 by 7 all around the clock, right? So that's how you can create, or you can provide services that can do home delivery, right? Free home delivery, or you can accept extra payment system like GrabPay, PayLah, rather than just cash only, right? So some shop also go to beyond, right? Especially like in Chinatown, right? So they also go beyond providing extra payment service available, such as what people from the tourists can actually pay for some of the souvenirs using Alipay or WeChat Pay, where most of the tourists from China, they are more acquainted, or they have more money in that. So that's where you extend your services to some of these customers, so that you make it convenient for them to actually do transactions, right? So this is where you try to differentiate your services over your competitors, right? So your competitors could be also just next door, and they are also selling the same kind of souvenir store. So what other additional services can you provide over than them, right? So look for some of these services that can basically supplement your current practices. Okay, the other way that you can also try to do differentiations, right? Market differentiation is by the number of channels that you can distribute your products, right? So example, right? So maybe your competitor, they only have home delivery using SingPost, but you went ahead and offer more channels, such as, oh, if SingPost is not available to deliver you on the same day, we can engage Ninja Van, right? We can engage the other what Grab, okay, Grab delivery, to do the extra uh, delivery services, right? Even at night, right? So this is the kind of channels that you can, or partners that you can work with, right? Other than having that fulfillment delivery, but it also can allow more distribution channel, right? So example, maybe some of the products can only be your competitors only sell their products on 7-Eleven, right? But then you go on, mine not only just in 7-Eleven that you can purchase the product, but also in Cheers, right? In some of the eco minimart also can purchase my product, and most of the NTUC outlet fair price, and you also sell your product in Giant, in Cold Storage, everywhere. So this is another channel differentiations that you can actually adopt by having more diverse kind of distribution or transaction channel. Okay, so that will basically allow, okay, more customer to be accessible to your product. They can actually get your product easily, rather than if your product is only sold in 7-Eleven, then they have to go for the 7-Eleven, and they couldn't get it anywhere. So try to make things easier for your customers. There are some people who try to differentiate, okay, or by going extension, going for line extension. So what do you mean by line extensions? Line extension simply means, right, that they are still in the same market sectors, like providing drinks, beverage, such as this. So other than having the juice, now they also have sparkling drinks. They also can have mineral water differentiations, right? And their juice also come in various uh, form of fruit juice, etc. So that is like line extension along the same line, right? Along the same line. Then there's also people who are doing brand extension, right? This is like diversify the market so that they have more market share in uh, other market segment, okay, and not just doing just one kind of business, right? If you look at Virgin, right? Virgin, they have we know Virgin as the airline, right? They have airline businesses, yet they also have credit card businesses, and they have other channels, okay, or brand extension. So they extend their business beyond just airline industries, but go beyond, even like Visa, Mastercard kind of a payment system. Right? Another thing that we have talked about is basically through packaging, right? So you can also differentiate your product through packaging. Japanese are very good in doing that, right? So they have very nice packaging so that people can use or get their product, not just for simple consumption, but also can be used as a form of a very nice gift, okay, to others, right? Can be used as a form of a gift purchase, right? So this is where you can enhance, okay, value add, okay, to the customers by very exclusive kind of a packaging. Right, so here is actually another packaging strategies that they have tried to differentiate from your competitors. Right, so this is a company that sells sweets. They sell sweets, so everybody is selling sweets, selling candies. But then they thought of an idea to put all this candy into some kind of toy packaging, right? That make it even more appealing to the kids, right? So sometimes sometimes the kid purchase some of this, not so much because of the candy and sweet in it, but actually they want the toy much more than the sweet itself, right? So these are again some creative ideas that you can think about. So packaging, don't just think of it as just wrapping around. You can also packaging with a purposes, right? Like in this case, right? Providing another alternative where you basically buy this product other than for consumption, it can also be used for playing or educations, right? So with that, I've covered so much so on the business strategy, also the way that you can actually create a business identity, okay, through the various means.